Minister of Finance is hoping our economy is sprouting green shoots and will prove as resilient as the drought-resistant Aloe Ferox plant. But is business equally hopeful? With much of the growth expected to come from massive projects spurred by big business, their buy-in is absolutely crucial. Let's discuss this now with Mtho Xulu, President of the South African Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Good evening and thank you so much for your time. Business obviously hoping for strong signs of a good environment, but I've just had a look at your press release and you seem really disappointed. Tell us why.
Good evening, ma'am, and good evening to the viewers. Yes, we are in the middle of a crisis as a country. Our economy is not doing that well. Businesses across the nation have faced tough times this year. And I think it's natural for business people to expect a bit more detail and a bit more confidence from statements that are coming from national government. And I think the disappointment will come from the fact that following the announcement by the President of the Economic Recovery Plan, the details should start coming out now, especially from National Treasury and all the departments. And I think we should not miss opportunities where the country is looking at the cabinet for confidence-boosting statements and plans, and we do not take that opportunity. So it was a statement that we would have expected more, but I think it's a start, and we are willing to engage the National Treasury.
Well, we certainly saw the rand take a bit of a dip afterwards, which is being seen as a sign that there certainly wasn't enough to give confidence to the markets. I just want to go into something else that you've mentioned. As you say, you wanted specific action plans and timelines. You needed more detail. I want to know if you are concerned. You've said here that you're worried about the skill set within the state to actually turn the economy around. Are you concerned about whether Tito Mboweni is up to the job?
No, we're not concerned. I think we're confident with the national government. We believe their intentions, and I think they really have the interests of the country at heart. Good intentions and interests of the country at heart is not good enough at the time when you really want to rebuild an economy. And we are saying that if we are going to change the course of this country, we can't obviously expect systems that are currently in place, and then we are saying that they are not doing well. Expect miraculously those systems to be able to turn around and deliver for us a recovery plan that they've not been able to do in the normal course of business. So our call, when we talk about the skill set, we're saying if now we are entering a new normal characterized by economic recovery, the intensity and the agency and the skills mix at different levels of government need to be fit for purpose. Because if, for instance, you say part of the economic recovery strategy involves municipal work and municipal services and infrastructure development at local level, yet you still complain that over 200 municipalities are dysfunctional. You can't necessarily expect those municipalities to miraculously turn around and be able to deliver recovery. So when we talk about this skill set, we are talking about an opportunity where we say, let us make sure that we are fit for purpose and we don't use the old tools to try and create new products.
What are we going to do to attract the investment that we need? There's much fear that we're heading for a sovereign debt crisis. We know that the minister is charting a slightly softer course, only stabilizing debt to 95% of our GDP by 2025, which is a lot less austere than he had planned in June. But of course, you can't take all the oxygen out of an economy. Do you think he set perhaps the right framework to attract investors to South Africa? Because really, as he himself said, first of all, we have to have political stability. We can't have signs that there's political turmoil or people fighting on the streets and concern about things like we saw in Senegal. But equally, we have to show that we've got the right fiscal framework. Do you think there's enough in place to attract investment?
It's still a work in progress. I don't think we have enough in place. Otherwise, the investments would have started showing already. What we appreciate with the minister is that he's very consistent in trying to avoid the debt crisis or the debt trap, that we should not find ourselves in that place, because then it will be very difficult for us to continue growing our economy. But we believe that one of the ways of minimizing the increase in the debt is to be able to create a business-friendly environment where private sector is able to come in with the necessary investments to carry some of the economic growth burdens that are currently sitting on the fiscus. Because government does not have to finance and own everything. All they have to do is to maximize their policy instruments to create an environment where businesses can thrive, and it becomes those businesses who then invest and create the jobs and ensure that we build an economically stable country. So we don't have to have the debt rising, because government doesn't have to spend anything. They just need to strengthen their policy instruments, allow businesses and the private sector to have stability, to be able to be protected in the economy, to drive investment, to create the jobs, and government just has to worry about making sure that policy is implemented. So a lot of work still has to be done in that regard, but definitely the private sector is one of probably the greatest assets that the government currently has, to ensure that we increase investment, but we don't increase debt in the process.
Well, thank you very much for your time this evening, Mtho Xulu.